All right, welcome to another episode of Melissa Talks, where we talk all things uniquely you. And this month, for the month of February, as you all know, we are in a series now that really is looking at love, marriage, singlehood, and just how that flows in the lives of others and how that can bless others. So, Love Talks is what this month is all about. And so today, just like last week, we had an amazing guest. We have another amazing guest, and she is one of my best friends of a long time now. What, 35, 34, 35 years? It's been a long time. Very long time. And her name is Minister Alicia Hardy. She is a wife and a mother, an ordained minister and a nurse who takes care of children with lung diseases. She was born and raised and still resides in Gainesville, Florida. And in her spare time, Alicia loves to enjoy traveling, family gatherings, and also shopping. Yes, she does. And she has been married to her amazing husband, James, for almost 25 years now, and has a story that will inspire singles that desire to be married and also married couples who will look to reignite their love for one another. So please welcome my best friend, Alicia Hardy.
Oh, thank you so
Welcome
much
to
for
the
having me.
show. Thank you for being here. So, I did that great introduction, and of course, I was in your wedding. So I was and can say I was there from the beginning in a way to
Yes,
see
ma'am.
and witness, the union under God and the love that you two have for each other and how it started in the beginning. So, speaking of the beginning, would you say that you and James met, and what do you think really drew you to each other? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Well, first, again, I want to say thank you so much for having me as one of your guests on the topic of love and marriage.
Yeah.
And you were in my wedding, and I was in your wedding. And I
Yeah.
just have to confirm that I would say you are my best friend and one of my long lasting friends. So thank you for that
Yes.
friendship.
Yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So I met James at the car wash. A best friend of mine at the time. Her and I would go on Fridays to the car wash. It was just like the thing to do to get your car
Yeah.
nice and pretty for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And she was actually dating his brother. And she
Oh,
had told me about him, but we never connected. I never had met him before then. So we're at the car wash, and I mean, I'm looking what I would consider in a shabby way. I mean, I'm sweating, I'm a little bit wet, and I'm vacuuming out the car.
yeah.
And up walks this tall and handsome guy. So,
So,
what drew me to him would, I mean, I have to be honest, it was the physical appearance. He was handsome and still is handsome. Um, and so we met at the car wash, and she walks over to the bay where I met and goes, "Well, this is James, who I've been telling you about." And he was just as respectful as, all the things that your grandparents and your parents tell you about the kind of man you want in your life. He
yeah.
wasn't trying to like run his game on me and, doing the kind of talk that was a complete turnoff.
Yeah.
He actually reached out his hand to shake my hand,
Mm.
introduced himself, and then walked away. So
Oh,
I thought, well, my goodness, he's not even interested in me. um, but then later it came out. He called me about a couple months later and he admitted that he was in a relationship at the time,
mm.
that he found me very attractive, and that he knew I was going to be his wife at that moment,
Now see. Mm.
but that he would not, um, start communicating with me without closing the door on the relationship that he was actually in and
Yeah.
was not happy in. And thank God for the day that we met.
Amen. Yes. Okay. So I missed those little bit of details from back then.
Oh yeah. You know the car wash on University Avenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one.
Comment about that one. Yeah, so that is so sweet. And I can say he still is sweet, a gentleman just like that to this day. So that is a blessing. So even of course, understanding how you all met, how would you say for yourself that you would define love? And over time, how has that evolved? Because of course, I know at that time you probably were in love. So soon after you all got into that relationship or probably before. So now what does that look like to you? How do you define it? And over time, has it evolved from that moment back then?
Hmm. Wow. Okay, that's kind of a loaded question because I do still feel that love is that just that affinity that you have towards someone or something,
Yeah.
that you don't want days or time to go by without you having connection to whatever it is.
Mm,
And that's just, my off the top of my head definition of love.
yeah,
Um, and I would say it definitely has evolved over time because as I've matured, I realize it's especially in marriage, and I guess anything, if you love something, it's making a decision every day to stay committed to it.
that's it. Yes, sorry. Gotta do it. Say it one more time for the people.
It is making a decision to stay committed to it.
Commitment. That's it. Okay, I'm not going to interrupt. Go ahead, sweetie. That's
So basically, just getting up every day and choosing to make him a priority in my life.
yeah, yeah.
Because yes, he's my husband and there's a natural, love between us, but I have to make a decision because, of course, in this world, there's many other temptations. But then you say, but my choice is that I have a man that loves me and I'm going to stay committed to him. And the
Amen.
same it would be with any other love connection with a best friend.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to let anybody say anything negative about you. I love you and I'm committed to you. So the choice at the end of the day is going to be I choose Melissa.
That's right. That's it. Yes. So thank you, sis. I choose you too. And that is so true, the decisions that we make, because like you said, there are so many temptations nowadays. I mean, you
Absolutely.
can easily choose something else. But when, of course, God has called you to that person and you took that vow with that
Right.
person, the choice is clear. Um,
Exactly.
that is so very true. So speaking of that, and moving into the fact that you are an ordained minister and you are a woman of God, even if, outside of being an ordained minister, your faith and your, spiritual life has influenced and encouraged me over the years, even the more. And so how would you say that has been an influence in your marriage as it relates to your faith and the spiritual beliefs that you hold?
And I'm excited to get to this part
Yes.
because I think it is definitely the glue that has held us together. My faith and my spiritual belief is in the God of the Bible.
Amen.
Um, and you have to almost state that now because there's so many false and idol gods and people that are on spiritual journeys that are not necessarily, you can't assume that they're talking about the true and living God Almighty. So
That's it.
I feel like I have to specify that. So then with that is that my spiritual beliefs align with what God says about marriage. We
Yeah.
know it is a ordination that He created. It's His idea,
Yes.
and so in the beginning, when God created heaven and earth, and He created man, the first man Adam, He thought, okay, it's not good for him to be alone.
Right.
So then He created woman to be a helpmeet.
Yes.
And so, I know it sounds old fashioned, but I just still do all the things that my grandmother and aunts and uncles taught me about, mirroring marriage like Christ loving the church. So then
Yes.
my responsibility is to serve my husband, to
Mm.
help him, to push his dreams and ambitions. Um, but in doing that, there's a reciprocity that happens because the more
Yes.
I do that, then my husband becomes the better leader, the better protector, the better provider. And so I could not give enough.
Yes. Say that
Yes,
reciprocity part
ma'am.
again and how that
Yes,
helps him. Say it.
exactly. The more I am that wife that serves, the more he becomes the leader, protector, and provider. And so I can never give out because I'm always getting it back.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Okay. That was everything on that. You look like you want to say something else. Oh, but that is so true. And, obviously understanding that, God ordained marriage, and
Mhm.
understanding that that is the foundation and that is who your belief is in. I thank you for specifying in case anybody is listening, the word, the God of the Bible.
Yes, him.
Is who we serve and who we are talking about here. And that is so true. And so moving forward, even in having, of course, the foundation in God and having, of course, your belief in what He has ordained for marriage, we're all human still, right? And
Oh yeah.
so
Oh
in
yeah.
that there comes challenges, right? There comes, things that we have to overcome in our marriages because
Mhm.
we are two different people coming together, right? And so in that moment, what have you found to be, one of the biggest challenges in your marriage, and how did you both overcome that together?
That's a really good question. And the truth is, I wasn't always at the level of spiritual maturity that I am now.
Yeah,
And so the challenges would
all of
have
it.
been just being young and dumb in the beginning.
Mhm.
I was 20 and he was 23 when we got married.
Mhm.
So, anything that was a little contrary to what we envisioned it was going to be, we were ready to give up,
Mhm.
and I'd spend days away from home, or he would. And then thank God for joining us back together.
Yeah,
But that was a challenge. That was the challenge, just being immature and making immature decisions.
yeah,
Um, but thankfully, how we became overcomers through those things was we had good godly counsel.
yeah,
People like my pastor, my belated pastor, who was my aunt. I mean, she would just hold our feet to the fire, like you're in this to the to the end.
yeah.
When you made your vows, it was till death do us part. So there's no escape route,
Hmm.
and you have to do the work.
Yes,
So
yes.
that, and I think that's important for longevity in marriage, is having people around you that will keep you accountable.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it. Mentors, spiritual, leaders, if it, whoever it might be that, of course, you have allowed to speak into your life and into your marriage. It's key and it's invaluable. And that's just one thing that, I'm glad to hear because I remember you making a little sabbatical, a drive to
Mhm.
Tallahassee.
Oh, yes, I did. I remember that. I thought it was over, but God.
My God, I said, no, y'all, you better go back to the game. So I just remember that so clearly. But God is faithful through it all. And so that is so true. We've all been there, especially young and naive and even still to this day having moments in our relationships and understanding that, all right, look, we got to get this together because
That's right.
we're not gonna be mad at each other all night. When we gonna get over this? Okay,
Exactly.
before the sun
Especially
goes
when
down.
when
Good.
you have children involved as well. I always wanted to make sure
Mhm.
that my children had both mom and dad.
That's right.
I had that blessing, and I wanted to be sure that my children had that blessing.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And divorce is not an option.
No, ma'am.
Not an option. So yes, okay. So with that and understanding the overcoming of challenges and that, we're all are human, and just understanding we have emotions, we have feelings. All of that is a part of us daily. How would you say, as it relates to the emotional intimacy? We know about physical intimacy, things of the sort, but when it comes to emotional intimacy, that's a different level, right? And
Hmm.
understanding that, you two can be emotionally on the same page and there for one another. How do you maintain that and that connection in your marriage?
Hmm. That's something that also just comes with time.
Yeah.
And I would say it's to continue dating each other, not
Yeah.
just for the physical intimacy, but the emotional part.
Mhm.
Because I heard a preacher say this, and I can't remember who it was, but that dating your husband or wife means you're still collecting data on them. They're not the same
Mhm.
person they were.
Who
In
said
our
that?
case, I'm not the same person I
That
was
is so
24 years
true.
ago.
Yeah.
He's not the same person. So continuing to just collect that data and then stay in tune with them. And I have a good example. We were in Las Vegas for Christmas, and we were walking into this hotel that had a beautiful, larger than life Christmas display.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was a little far ahead than my husband, but I turned around to him and I had tears in my eyes. He
Mm-hmm.
already knew why I was crying. He said, "You're thinking about your mama." And that's exactly why I was crying, because she loved Christmas displays, the poinsettias that were everywhere. It just overtook me, and I thought about her. And I didn't even have to say a word to him. He read it in me, so that
Mm.
we're that in tune that he already knew.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it's just he's collected data on me. He knows what triggers me emotionally, what
Yeah,
stimulates me emotionally.
yeah.
And I know the same for him. If there's something wrong, he may say nothing, but men don't have a lot of words, but I know
Mhm.
there's something.
There's something there, yeah.
There's something.
Oh, I love that. That collecting data on you. Whoever said that and you heard say that, I'm taking that one.
Hmm.
But that is so, so, so very true. And we feel like over the years get to know one another. But as we do grow in this thing called marriage and life, there's things we learn about each other that we didn't know. And that is the best way to be able, I'm going to take it now, the best way to be able to get that information.
That's right.
Because, we do still do our our date nights once a week, and now that you say that, it is a data collection time when I'm thinking back to those moments. And so we're supposed to go somewhere this week, but this weather, we're gonna see how it goes.
Right. Woo. Florida ain't
Stay warm.
Florida.
Okay. All right. So with that, how would you say that the both of you have grown individually and as a couple, since getting married? And you kind of already mentioned, how you can look to support, his dreams and ambitions and things. But overall, how have you all grown individually, and then as a couple?
Well, we both have advanced our educational degrees. I know my husband definitely supported me through nursing school 3 times because I just gradually kept climbing the ladder. Um, and I think the thing about it is the supporting each other is because he kept reminding me of past triumphs. So,
Mm,
nursing school is no easy thing. When
yes,
it would get a little tough and I'd be discouraged, and he'd be like, "Babe, you did this before. You can
right.
do this."
Do it again.
So,
Do it
just the
again.
simple encouraging and reminding each other of, "Look, you've done this before." I think you would have to be unselfish because there have been some um, changes or some growth individually that I would have to say I was hesitant to agree,
Yeah.
but it's us taking risks. For
Yeah.
example, when my husband started his photography business, we knew it would take a lot going in and the overhead, but it was a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to discourage your loved one from pursuing their dreams, but you want to kind of give them a realistic, let's do a little checklist, make sure
Mhm.
this makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Checklist, little
Right,
realistic.
little checklist.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I'm thankful that the business has been very successful, and so
Yeah.
that was a leap of faith and trust and believing God that He would carry us through.
Yeah, and he has, and it is an amazing business. He does a really great job. For anybody who's looking for some photography, I'll let you go ahead and put a plug in for him. Put the plug in for him.
Okay, please go visit www.jameshardyphotographyllc.com.
There
Check
you
out his portfolio, and then you can book and communicate with him directly from that website.
there you go. Help the man some more.
Yes, see, that's how I support him.
Exactly. I love it. Okay, and so as we are, we're having this conversation and it is lighthearted. So there's a few things as it relates to date nights. You mentioned those date nights and that data collection that can happen around that time. What's some ideas you would give some the people who are married now and those who may want to get married soon, and how they can maybe start having those types of date nights after they get married? What's some ideas or activities?
I mean, we keep it basic, honestly. We are both big foodies. So we go out to eat, and we always ask for a booth, That way we can just kind of have a side off to ourselves and we just
Mhm.
interact with each other. We put the cell phones down, at least we try to. I'm gonna be honest now. We try to
Mhm.
put the cell phones down. Um, but definitely dinner nights. Another thing is we just get spontaneous and go out of town for the weekend.
Mhm.
Just unplanned to say, okay, we're going to Savannah this weekend, or we're going to St. Augustine this weekend, and just stay a couple nights and immerse in the culture of that city, eat good
Mhm.
food touring. We love nature trails. So, you don't even have to spend money to go on a nice date. We love to do the nature walks, even right here in our city.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best. Of course, just understanding that if you don't have the resources, if you're really just trying to, be intentional together, you'll do
Hmm.
whatever it takes. You don't have to pay for something. You can go on the nature trails, you can go on a walk, you can, if you have bikes, go on bike rides.
Yep,
So there's always a way to be intentional with the person that you love and that you're in covenant with, and
that's right.
connection with. So, and in that, as it relates to newlyweds, someone who would like to get married, we just talked about some activities, ideas, and things. What would you say? And I'm sure there's probably more than one thing, but would be one of the biggest things that you would, as it relates to advice, give that newlywed couple or the persons who are looking to get married?
Hmm. From my personal experience, I would say apologize early, like settle arguments early. Don't let it linger. Don't let it be that silent treatment that can go on for days.
Talk
Um,
about it.
and even if it's a heated argument and you need to maybe step away, say something that confirms your love. Like,
Yeah.
I am upset and I'm just going to go for a drive, but
Mm,
I'll be back
yeah.
because I do love you. I'm not going nowhere, but you done teed me off
Right.
and I just need a little time.
And I got to get out your presence.
But that, and it took me a long time to get that. Now, my husband taught me that.
Mm,
I mean, he would tell you that I was cold and he wondered, like, does this woman love me? She won't apologize. She won't come and admit her wrong. And it's true. I don't.
yeah.
So, but he would be the one that would come and make amends because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
he was like, I'm not giving up on us.
Yeah.
And so, yes, that would be my biggest piece of advice because I had to learn that myself. And now, I can tell when if I've upset him. It's like, I'm sorry, babe. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Or I know that probably ticked you off and I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
won't do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. And say that part one more time. What you said the actual piece of advice would be.
Would be to
Apologize
apologize early.
early. There you go.
Admit
So
you're wrong early.
yes, reiterate that. Apologize early. And, sometimes, and you mentioned how you were and how he is and how you, of course, you were that way. Um,
Hmm.
but that's just, as we said in the beginning, we're different. We're humans and just learning how we can communicate with the other person to the point that we eventually influence them because he influenced you
Absolutely.
and that leads to change in the person. And so, just understanding that yes, it may not look there, just stay the course. He stayed the course with you.
That's
And
right.
he was not giving up on you. And so that apologizing early, just also making sure that you are understanding and communicating with that person because you're going to have different backgrounds. They may lead you to the reason as to why you maybe have been the way that you were. And,
Hmm.
the reason why he is the way that he is too. So that is a blessing. And I kudos to that and understanding that early apologizing is key.
Hmm. Yes, ma'am.
All right. And so for this episode, we are going to say thank you
Oh, thank
my
you.
amazing friend here, Alicia Hardy. This has been a great time of conversing and understanding how love and marriage can be. And we know that every marriage is different. But everything that she said, all of the nuggets that she mentioned, even going down to, I'm sorry, stick with me, the collecting the data on your
Hmm.
spouse during your time of connecting and dating and things of the sort each other after marriage and also understanding your past potential traumas and things that may have led to through any issues and even past triumphs, of course, that may have led to, of course, you getting through certain things that you
Mhm.
felt were, un unachievable at the moment. When you were in school, you were giving that idea. And so just understanding that even if you are facing something, if you had a past triumph that led you, over the hump, think about
Mhm.
and allow that to be, a part of your journey and motivating you forward. And so I want to say thank you so much again and just listen in, everybody, because this is just week number two. And so week number one was amazing. This is amazing. And week number three is going to also build on this series. And so Melissa Talks, all things uniquely you, every Thursday at 6 p.m. Again, our Love Talk series for the month of February continues next week. And be sure to follow us on all platforms that are streaming podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. And be sure to follow us on Instagram and future Facebook here soon. All right. So until next time, bye.